Good afternoon. In this video, we're going to go over this week's options watch list. Before I get into the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel and please like the video. Also, I'm looking at the economic calendar. This is going to be a big week because we have FOMC on Wednesday. And this is the big one where they're supposedly going to be talking about tapering, and it could be a really, really wild week. Now, with that said, usually with FOMC, Monday and Tuesday, they end up chopping. I'm expecting SPY to probably, gap and grind, gap up a little bit, be choppy, have a narrow range in the day, not unless some news comes out that spooks the market or something like that. But Wednesday is going to be the big day. I always look at it from the point of view with SPY at all-time high, making all-time highs, FOMC and Powell. I mean, it's usually a good indication the market's going to take a really big dump, but we never know. You have to see what happens when it happens. But yeah, I think that SPY is just going to gap and grind and keep chugging higher until FOMC. Like, that doesn't matter what that tapering is going to happen, or even mention it, or rate hikes or whatever. Anything. Well, obviously they're not going to do rate hikes this week, but they could threaten it soon, as early as next year or whatever, and that alone plus tapering could send the market down 10 points pretty quickly. So I would not be a bit surprised if they do mention tapering, that SPY by Wednesday is 460, maybe even 465 plus, and back down to 450 below 450, so, or even a lot lower. So it depends on how bad the news is, or FOMC is, and stuff like that. But yeah, they're gonna try to boost the market higher, so that way when it drops, it's not gonna look as bad. That's something they like to do lately. They'll prop it up, knowing that something bad is coming, so that way when it does happen, it's not gonna be a 20-point drop at 450. It's gonna be a 20-point drop at 465, so that way it doesn't look as bad. It's just a little mentality games that these guys play and stuff like that. The Fed likes to play. So with that said, I'm not much going to be on the watch list because of FOMC. That is the game changer. A couple things we'll be watching. One, obviously, we have SPY on the bearish list. I know I just said it's going to gap and grind, but when FOMC hits, I think that we're going to end up seeing SPY below 450. Not unless for some reason SPY ends up grinding up to 470 before Wednesday, but anything is possible. I mean, just a couple days ago, SPY was at 453, and now it's at almost 460, so it's up 7 points right there in a couple days. So I'm thinking 460, 465, 470 tops before FOMC. But the market could start getting a little worried before FOMC and start pulling back, but I think it's going to gap and grind. So that's what I'm thinking for FOMC. You need to be in the room because we nail the FOMC plays. Not many people do, and we nail them. So it's going to be a very, very big week this week because of that. Now, on the bullish side, a couple things I'm looking at. Roku is one. I know Roku has earnings, but it got pounded on Friday. They have earnings this week, I think on Thursday. I'm not quite sure. I'll have to double check, but I was seeing that short interest for Roku is 27%, which is really high. We could see a really nasty pop this week on Roku, so we'll have to see if that happens. So I would watch it, obviously over. Obviously if it's got earnings this week, options are going to be too expensive. But if you want to play it, you can. I play shares and stuff like that. So, but over 310, if we push to 320, 325 would be a big area. Then you got 330, 340, 350. I mean, with a short interest of 27%, we could see one of these monster candles right here that's like 30 to 40 points in a day. This is even more than 30 points. This is 426 to 471. This is almost a 50-point move right there. I mean, we could see something like this on Roku with a short squeeze setting up for that. So To me, short interest 27% with earnings coming up. If it beats earning, it's just a recipe for a massive short squeeze. So another one I'm looking at, Snap. Snap got beat down by earnings. You would think it would start bouncing, but every time it starts to get a little bit of a bounce, it gets sold into. Pop, drop, pop, drop. So as you can see, a bullish divergence on the RSI as it's making lower lows. So I would watch for a reversal over, I would say 53, I'd even say 54, over 54 for a push to, basically every whole dollar is going to be a resistance for Snap. So 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60 is going to be the tough one to break because it's gap resistance. I highly doubt it's going to break that on the first shot. I'll probably get to it, reject, and probably try to make a cup and handle kind of look before it does break out. So BA is another one. BA is down close to the 200 range. It's down to 205, as you can see right here. Last time I hit to 205, I had a monster pop. So I would watch a BA over 208 for a push to 215, 220. 225, 230 area. So we could just see a nice strong day out of BA on Monday or even Tuesday. So speaking of that, I need to look at the, before I get too further in the watch list, I like to look at the put to call ratio, and I did not look at that yet. So I'm going to look at that right now and see what it is. Yeah, it's in the middle of the range. It's not gonna, it doesn't really give you any real advantage when it's in the middle of the range like that. So yeah, let me just double check the economic calendar, make sure that Powell is not speaking any other time besides Wednesday or FOMC. No, I don't see that. But, you know, one other week, I said Powell was not on the docket to speak. Then all of a sudden he had a surprise on a Friday. And I was just like, wait a minute, good thing I caught that. But they like to show up and just speak whenever they feel like it. So you do have to keep an eye on the economic calendar to see if Powell is going to do, or even Janet Yellen's going to do some kind of surprise conference or a speech or whatever. So BA, I think we could see this kind of a move because last time we got the 205 area bounced hard. So right there, right here, and right here. So we'll have to see. Third time's a charm. We'll have to see if it will do that. Then Twitter is another one. I know Pins has got earnings this week, but I'm not going to touch that. But now Twitter, you would think it would bounce in this 54 range. You know, this is where the pivot is on the weekly, and this is last time it was down in this area, it popped back up. So I'll be watching this over 54.50 for push to 56, 58, $60 for Twitter. Now, last one is SBUX. SBUX. I don't usually play this as much, but I mean, it got beaten down on earnings and ends up having a nice little a drop. But you know, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if it ends up getting bought. I mean, it's considerably oversold on the weekly on the stochastic, so I think I'd watch it for recovery. It had a nice, you know, strong last hour candle on Friday, so I would definitely keep an eye on that over Friday's high of 106.50 for push to 108. Now that's where it's going to get tricky. Usually it likes to reject the gap down resistance right here, but because it's so close to it, it could end up filling the gap right away. So have to see if that will actually fill the gap on Monday. It could be this week. I mean, usually, you know, when they gap down, usually it gaps down and consolidates for a couple of days before making a run. But sometimes you get stocks like Netflix that has big gap downs and then fully recovers the next day, and Tesla does stuff like that too. So, you know, who knows? This could end up trying to do the same thing. It's so close to the gap resistance that it could just blow right through it. So, yeah, I would watch for that on SBUX. But that's going to be pretty much do it for the watch list. Short and sweet. I don't want to go too heavy into it because FOMC is on Wednesday, and that's going to change everything. I mean, you can't have too many stocks being bullish on, because when FOMC hits, and if it's really bad, like I anticipate it could be, that everything's going to get thrown out the window and everything's just going to nosedive. So except for a few stocks that just don't really care what SPY does. For some reason, Roku does not seem to care what SPY does, so that could end up running against it. But other than that, I just think if FOMC is the important thing this week, and when that drops, that's when we're going to start needing to adjust. So if they talk about tapering, that could be back to shorting the pops on SPY until further notice. But that's why you need to be in the room to understand our thesis and what we're going to play and how we're going to play it. And that's going to do it for the watch list. I know it's short, but hope to see you in the room. Thanks.